alberobello, se percorri la terra pugliese, ad un tratto ti fermi a guardare uno strano fiabesco paese e ti sembra di sognare. Hanno i tetti la forma di coni nel cielo sereno di alberobello, mentre guardi tu senti un monello che passa vicino cantando così, sotto i trulli di alberobello che l'ha reso famoso nel mondo. Non è fuor chi non canta giocondo, trullallero, lallero, lallà. Sotto i trulli di alberobello, se felici pur senza una lira, forse è colpa di un certo vinello che fa dir trullallero, lallà. Guardando quei trulli nei prati smaglianti di fiori, si torna fanciulli, si crede alle favole ancora. Sotto i trulli di alberobello, pur le coppie che fanno all'amore, van baciando e stringendosi al cuore, trullallero, lallero, lallà. Una bimba di alberobello, un riccone straniero s'invaghì, lei sorrise e lui come un agnello, in un trullo la seguì. Da quel giorno i lontani parenti gli scrivon piangenti, ritorna in famiglia. Lui risponde: qui sto a meraviglia, non state in pensiero e cantate così. Sotto i trulli di alberobello, che l'ha reso famoso nel mondo, non è fuor chi non canta giocondo, trullallero, lallero, lallà. Sotto i trulli di alberobello, pur le coppie che fanno all'amore, van baciando e stringendosi al cuore, trullallero, lallero, lallà, trullallero, lallero, lallà.
Welcome to today's edition of the Anaglyph Jukebox. You never know what you'll find on the old jukebox. Let's press B31. Okay, we've got Atlantic City in 3D. The Gong Show's Chuck Barris wrote that July 1962 hit single, recorded by Freddie Cannon, an ode to another great New Jersey amusement park. Anyone who remembers the HBO series Boardwalk Empire, starring Steve Buscemi as Prohibition-era crime boss Enoch Nookie Thompson, will already know that there's a seamy side to the story of this seaside mecca for the masses, long before the era of failed and bankrupt casinos, like the Trump Taj Mahal, the Trump Plaza, the Trump Marina, the Trump World's Fair, the Sands, and the Showboat. Of the over 25 casinos once there, only 9 remain in operation today. But it wasn't gambling that first drew crowds to this Jersey beach. The World's Playground was originally promoted as a health resort on Absecon Island, the former summer home of the Lenni Lenape tribe. The United States Hotel was built by the railroad in 1855 and could house 2,000 guests. The first boardwalk went up in 1870. The reason? To keep sand out of the lobbies of the local hotels. 13 years later, Saltwater Taffy was born after a storm flooded David Bradley's candy shop. The board game Monopoly was given locations named after Atlantic City after its creator moved from Indianapolis to the Jersey Shore. And the Miss America Beauty Contest was originally crafted in 1921 just to extend the traditional summer season beyond Labor Day weekend. Although not in Atlantic City, Lucy, the elephant, 2 miles south in nearby Margate City, is an iconic 6-story elephant-shaped structure built by James V. Lafferty of wood and tin sheeting in 1882, originally to promote tourism and real estate sales. It has variously been a restaurant, an office, a cottage, and a tavern. By the 1960s, Lucy had deteriorated so much it was slated for demolition. A Save Lucy campaign began in 1970, and the building was moved and rebuilt. It gained National Historic Landmark status in 1976, and today it operates as a museum.
Daniel has this week's guest is Daniel POHL, POHL. Daniel has a degree in, wait till you hear all this stuff. You'll be glad you came back. Daniel has a degree in computer science. His master's thesis was on ray tracing, and not ray zone tracing, but ray tracing in computer games. At Intel, he was senior research scientist and senior computer vision engineer. And in October 2021, he started a company called ImmerVR, IMMERVR.com. Check that out. And is currently the CEO. Wow, you've been busy. But let's roll the video to give you an idea what this is about. And then we can dig in a little bit deeper and pester Daniel no end. Stand by.
Welcome to Immer Gallery. Immer Gallery is an immersive image viewer. It allows you to easily watch pictures, such as VR 180 stereo, 360, 2D and 3D images. Thanks to our automatic image format detection, you can easily navigate through your media. Enjoy our downloadable high-quality galleries, or create your very own with special effects such as snow and rain. Or just enjoy your drone pictures from inside a hot air balloon. You can add music and voiceovers, or listen to your own MP3s while browsing through your images. A zoomable map of your media location is just one of many features to explore. Look what other happy Immer Gallery users are saying. Wow! Get Immer Gallery now.
I just subscribe to his service, and I'll tell you one thing. Right now, those before I get with you, Dan, I want to let everybody know what they should be doing. Those Quest 2s are less than $200, and in some places, I just heard if you got a Costco card, you get it for $100. It is definitely at that point. If you haven't really stepped into this VR stuff, it's a great way to get in, and what he's doing is even better. And I'm going to let him explain a little bit more about. He's going to go through a little bit of a PowerPoint, and I will interrupt him and pester him no end. So thank you very much for showing up again and coming back again.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here today. and yeah, to have a chance to talk about these exciting topics with 3D in virtual reality. Yeah, as you just mentioned, yeah, ImmerVR, my company, I founded it about 2 years ago after being at Intel before. Until today, there's basically 2 apps released, or you could say 1 app and 1 demo. It's named Immer Gallery. This is just what you've seen in the trailer before. So it's an immersive image viewer for VR photos and all kind of VR photos, 2D, 3D, 180 degrees, 360 degrees, panoramas, and basically everything you can imagine. So far, I've been filing 5 patents, 4 on the technical side and 1 design patent, and also a few trademarks. And yeah, don't worry, it's not a huge PowerPoint presentation. There is a full version of it in a YouTube link. I think we're going to share that in the chat for people who want to really get much more detail on every slide. Here, I just have it as a little helper where I will show a little bit to visualize some of the topics that we can talk, but it will not be like a full presentation here.
Well,
and so let me just click through it a little bit. The image formats I mentioned, we support basically all kind of images. And the ones you're usually not thinking about so much probably when you think about virtual reality are also the cylindrical panoramas. So you just take your phone, move it slowly, and it generates this huge, cool 2D panorama. And if you watch it again on your phone, you're usually disappointed because the screen just is not really good. It's not wide enough. It's not large enough. But in virtual reality, where you have this kind of infinite space with a huge field of view and you can move your head around, these kind of panoramas are super cool and immersive. And in theory, of course, we also support 3D cylindrical panoramas. There's just not so many out of them out of there.
So a quick question for you, because you
yeah.
move. Oh, this is beautiful. So that's cylindrical. So how do you get that into the MRV app, the MRVR app?
Yeah, so there's a variety of different ways how to get your data onto Quest and to have it found by Immer Gallery. The probably most default version is you plug your Quest in over USB to a PC or Mac, and you copy the data to your pictures folder there on Android on Quest. It's basically an Android system on Quest, and then it will be picked up automatically. Not everyone likes plugging in cables and stuff. So we also support SMB, that's the Windows file sharing protocols, like a lot of NAS drives, which are in your own local network, support this. We also support UPnP, kind of a different format or a different protocol for that, but basically also means if you have a disk space or a server, UPnP server in your own Wi-Fi, then we can pick it up and can get the images from there. Usually I recommend using SMB over UPnP. It's more feature rich. One more version
this is great, but I'm going to cut it a little bit because when you say that, many people don't understand that because it just happens automatically, so they don't know SMB and all that. But basically, that you can get on. Cutting to the chase, you can find that if you have your Quest on, and you can basically go on your own network, in other words, and then is that how you would do it? So you'd go into MR. Could you explain that a little bit? Because the network thing, it seems easy, but
okay, yeah. So there's different ways. So either you can, if you have a PC running Windows, you can do like right click on it, properties, and go on share, and then it will be available in your Wi-Fi as long as you know username and password for it. But there's also external disk drives that you can purchase, NAS.
Yep.
And these have servers inside them. So these ones you just plug into a power outlet and you connect them once, usually with a cable to your network. And on these drives, you can also store image data. And this data will automatically be found by Immer Gallery when you're in it.
Interesting. And then at that point, you can move it. Now, do you move it using your controls?
Yeah, you have 2 controllers with Quest. You don't actually move it. You just you click it and it will load and show up almost as it's local. So you don't see the difference if it's local or on your local Wi-Fi.
And just before we continue, and that would still stay on your your drive, your spare drive that's hooked up to your network, your wireless. So it wouldn't have gotten imported into the the photos on the Quest. It just it resides on your drive, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, got it. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I think that's I've confused everybody enough. That's about as much as they can take. You please continue. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Also,
you very
people
much.
have been asking if there's a way to copy it, like in case they want to show exactly these images to friends, so they want to copy it on their headset. So I might add this feature later, but for now, and also that's saving disk space. Like you have the choice for Quest 3 to use to purchase the 128 or the 512 gigabyte version, and if you have these kind of network drives, then you can easily go with the 128, the cheaper version, and just offload your images on some other server, not wasting your Quest's storage space.
You can continue about the different ways of getting it in. Thank you. You can continue now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and there's one more way exactly. So we also have a download section. So it's almost like an integrated web browser. You basically have an URL bar. So if you upload your own galleries in a zip file, like it could be various JPEG files, it could be MPO files, there can be extra descriptions, there can be audio and so on. So if you put this zip file on your host, you have this address bar in Image Gallery where you can type in the URL, and then it will download it from the web and extract it and store it locally on your device as well.
Wow.
So that you can also use, of course, to share it with friends.
Okay, keep going because you're very interesting so far. You piqued my interest. Thank you.
And I'll show one later in the slides. That's actually the feed, but I'll do that in a minute. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with 3D cameras here, so I don't need to spend so much time on it. But what's interesting to note, and not everyone thinks about it, is that the headsets like Quest 3 and Apple Vision Pro are actually also 3D cameras. I'll go on the Quest 3 feature in a few slides a little bit. Oh, in this slide already, or in more detail. So the Quest 3 with various sensors and everything up here actually has two nice RGB cameras spaced roughly in the interpupillar distance. So that means you can abuse it as a 3D camera, and you can record randomly without Image Gallery some 3D stuff. But of course, you want to generate good 3D stuff. And that's where actually we come in, and we're the first and only app still that is making extra use, like giving you helpers to generate better 3D content through the Quest 3 cameras. And mainly what we added is that we added this water scale or electronic level. And it directly gets out the IMU data from your headset. So it knows if you're looking tilted or whatever. Usually, of course, you want everything to be relatively leveled. So the one bar here, for example, here shows us red. Nope, this is not nicely tilted. The lovely cat picture you're going to take will not be so great in 3D. But if you move your head correctly, then whoop, everything gets green, and you know, okay, if I actually take a picture of this here or a video recording, this will be pretty nice and make a decent photo. And to get it in Quest 3, you actually cannot do a photo per se. You can only record a video. But sometimes you don't want videos, you want a single photo, which is just very cool, but not a video stream boring people 1 minute with something. So what I also actually implemented is that after you recorded a video, during the video, there will be times where this electronic level shuts off. So it's not captured, because otherwise it will be in the video stream. So it will capture, toggle on, toggle off over a few seconds. And automatically in Image Gallery, I will look for images where I know they are leveled because there's been the green electronic level before. And then the next instance, it's shut off, so it's not blocking our view anymore. I will extract these screenshots automatically out of the video and save it directly into your Quest 3. So this way you can abuse it as a free 3D camera, which you didn't expect to get when you purchase a Quest 3.
Yeah, I'm going to change the subject just a moment because you're going in pretty deep. Maybe advance to the next slide. I'll see if I can.
Okay, so the 360 we leave out. Another very interesting format is VR 180 stereo format. So basically, most things we've seen in the previous slideshows here also were the regular 3D side by side. VR 180 actually means you capture a full half sphere, as shown down left here. So everything really completely 180 degrees to your sides and up to down is captured with 2 lenses. And I put also my Canon camera here. It's my favorite to do that. This is the Canon 5.2 millimeter lens attached to the EOS R5 camera body, and this one is actually the GPS module. So I'm also getting nice JPEG GPS metadata on it automatically. And that's the one I use mostly. And today this captures the best VR 180 photos in 8K resolution. I can also do 8K video, of course. I'm mostly in the photo area. And it has important things like horizon correction as a post-processing step and so on. So, of course, this is also expensive, needs to be said. The lens itself is around, I think in the US, $1,800, and the camera body around $3,000. There will be a new camera body coming out very soon that will support this. So it may be that the older one gets cheaper, but who knows? And also...
Go ahead, please, go ahead.
Also here for starters, Canon showed on multiple exhibitions that they are working on a consumer camera for VR 180. It's actually foldable. You can choose if you want your stereo 3D 180, or if you fold it together, it will take a 360 mono image. It's a format that's also pretty popular in VR. I personally like the VR 180 3D more. It's more precise, and of course it's stereo, so the depth is much more exciting. But if this thing comes out, it's oriented towards consumers, so my wildest guess would be it's lower than $1,000 US, and hopefully it comes out in the next few months, but there's no official announcement on it yet.
Well, thank you. I'm going to cut you off again, because you know what's going to happen? I'm going to hand between Jay, who you met, and Jim, who's in here somewhere, they're going to be able to drill in much deeper because they know this. But I'd like to just go back a step.
Mm-hmm.
What is the first 3D thing that you ever saw?
Oh, yeah. I guess it would have been 3D in cinemas.
Cinema.
Some movie, I guess. I don't remember which one.
And how young were you then? How do you recall?
Maybe 20 years or so. I actually don't remember exactly which one it was.
That's okay.
Yeah, and like the first 3D hype. Well, not one, but first is wrong, but like the 20 years ago 3D hype probably. And in 2011, I actually bought one of these L'Oreal lenses, these analog lenses for $100 or so, and I shot a few pictures, but it was mostly disappointing for me. I didn't have a good display device. I had an NVIDIA 3D Vision monitor at that time, but it just wasn't so good. I had tried my photos on a 3D TV, and they also were not what I was hoping for. Later, when I dug deeper into the technology, I found out that my pictures were not nicely aligned, like what Stereo Photo Maker does for you with auto alignment. I was not knowing that back then that I need to do this. So that's probably why the pictures looked so bad. But now that I know the tool is better and everything, and in VR they look better now today. But still, the new photos I'm making with VR cameras or with modern cameras are much better than what I did like this long time ago.
Yeah. Now, were you working at Intel at that time? What were you doing at that time while you were experimenting with this?
Yeah, I was working at Intel, but this was all like spare time experiments. I was already always excited at photography in general, and then I just, out of interest, jumped into the 3D photography a little bit too.
Yeah, jumped in. Yeah, I mean, you're way in. You're talking to a deep crowd here that they love 3D. So I got that. So now you wanted to pursue that now, right? What made you want to pursue that to this level? Because this is like you're way in at this point. You're in.
Yeah. So what was one of the changing events was in I think 2012. There was Oculus, this Palmer Lucky's duct tape, very first Rift. There was this hype going on about it. And I got a chance to test this at the Gamescom event in Cologne in Germany here. And I had it on my head, and it was super amazing. I was immediately immersed. It was a Doom 3 demo, and I was already playing Doom 3 before. I'm also like playing computer games. And for me, it was like, this is so fantastic. I really feel physically like I'm really in this place that I'm seeing, and this gives so much immersion and everything. Like even the best computer graphics on a 2D screen can never replace what I experienced just with this quote crappy duct tape thing, which blew me away. Is really amazing. And from then on, I also at Intel, then I directed a lot of research into virtual reality. Like I was explaining my managers, hey, look, there's a thing upcoming, virtual reality. This will be huge. This needs a lot of compute power. And yeah, luckily my managers approved, and I was able to do various research projects. I worked on eye tracking for VR, ray tracing for VR, on some of the lens distortions. Yeah, because the screen in VR is so close to your eyes, you usually would not be able to see it sharp, but there is these two lenses in it, which focus it back to you, but they have various distortions, and these ones you can undistort in software. Luckily, software is cheap. If you optically would undistort it, it costs money, it adds weight. So I was researching some models there to do a better distortion and higher quality, a better distortion compensation and higher quality. And that made me always exciting about VR. And even when I was not working on VR for Intel anymore, in my spare time, I was having almost all VR headsets out there. And then the first VR cameras came out on the previous slides. Year 2018, Lenovo Mirage, $300 plastic camera, but made these first cool VR 180 pictures. And even though resolution was not sharp and they were noisy and stuff, but it was so cool to capture the real life and to be beamed back into this moment where you took the picture. And so I was super excited. I got this camera as well. I got this one as well. And this is kind of how this all formed, where I was saying, this is such an amazing technology. I want to work on it. I want to dive deeply into it. And ultimately, that then also led to the decision I need to do that with my own company, because, yeah, didn't go other way.
We're all very fortunate that a brainy guy like you is in, with all your experience and resource and your experience in all of those companies and doing all of the things you did. We're all very lucky to have you in this deep, because I know you're gonna come up with great things. There's no question in my mind.
No.
And so now, was that 5 years ago or 4 years ago when you started the company?
2.5 years ago.
2.5 years. But you, up to that point, you kind of worked up to creating the company, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Where do you see this going?
Well, this is mixed in with a little bit of hope, of course, but I'm hoping that 3D becomes mainstream. One of the moves that Apple did was integrating the spatial video or spatial photo feature in iPhone, bringing 3D to millions of people. I think that's a very good step. I'm mostly excited what Apple will do in their next iPhone with some improved versions. But I also can see all the other smartphone vendors, of course, copying that feature, like it happens in the past. And I would expect that we get a crowd of many, many millions, maybe in longer term, billions of people always having a 3D camera ready. And in my opinion, the best way to watch 3D content is in VR. Even today, like, of course, the headset's resolution could be even better and colors could be even better, blah, blah. But it's so immersive and reasonably sharp with the Quest 3, for example. I mean, Quest 1 was a little bit early stages, but I think we got to a really good point where it makes sense to watch this 3D media in VR. And so that's where I see things going. Like everyone hopefully will be using 3D, and I hope this will be a hype that will continue and not die down like last time. With 3D TV, unfortunately, it died down, and VR is the same. The 90s wave of VR died down so much that no one wanted to touch VR between the years 2000 and 2010, and only with Oculus Rift, this enthusiasm was revived. And I'm thinking that this hype for 3D is revived right now, with consumers getting into this market and VR headsets being cheap enough and good enough. And yeah, hopefully it will take off and stay for this time.
Since we had a little burp, we ran a little late, so I'm going to have the other guys come on and we'll do the after party sooner, because I think they're going to be full of more technical questions, and people in the audience may have more technical stuff. But I just want to go over things that I think are important for everybody to know. Explain that gallery thing you did before. How there'll be a weekly gallery that you can't think of the word right now, but you oversee it.
With the
Explain a little
rewards.
about because that makes sense because that's going to make people want
Yeah.
to have these things. Please explain a little.
Yeah. Let me quickly see if I have a slide that fits to it. Well, not directly, but I'll just take this as background because it has some nice photos.
No problem, no problem.
Yeah. So what we do have in Image Gallery, like having an image viewer is of course cool and great, and you obviously need it in VR. But we also want to keep people entertained with constantly new media and giving people also new ideas, and also showing off new cameras. Like before you purchase a camera, right now it's pretty hard to know how will it really look later in VR. But if I provide you with some sample pictures of the Canon camera, you can directly say, okay,
That's cool.
like this or not. Yeah.
That's very cool.
And so the reward concept we have right now is we have 4 weekly rewards every month, which have a smaller gallery, let's say between 5 and 20 pictures. Those are with background audio. I usually in the first image, I have a voiceover where I explain some historical facts. Like, let's say on Oktoberfest, I explain the first Oktoberfest was in the year 1800 Rulum, and this kind of thing. So every week you open the app in your VR headset, you can freely download this gallery. It's yours. And if you do all 4 of these galleries, you get also the free monthly gallery. It's usually a little bit larger, maybe 15 to 40 pictures. It depends always a little bit. And that's yours also then as well. So kind of the condition to do it is open the app frequently. But of course, if we have new users who just join half a year later, they also want to get access to the content. So we have a relatively cheap way of purchasing the old content if you missed some of the galleries.
So to clarify, so there'll be these weekly galleries. Now, either you will take the images or the people would submit them.
Mhm.
And we can go into those details of how that's done, whether it's an email to you or there's a site, whatever. Right. So they send those in, you go, hey, that's a cool picture. And you put it in that week's gallery. Now, it wouldn't be one person's images. It could be a group of images in that week's gallery, right? The ones that you curate. I couldn't get with that word. See, the brain was working with curate, that you curate. Right?
Yeah.
I'll write that down. Sorry.
Yeah. Right now it's more like it's not a single picture from people. Usually it's really a gallery where people take the 10 pictures or so, because we also usually want to have a kind of a story to tell. Like we don't want one single image, without any consequence to the other images in that gallery doesn't provide a whole lot of information or value, in my opinion. So we want to provide more overview. And usually that means it's a gallery of the same person. Usually sometimes we add, like if I get a picture in from Rome and I also have been in Rome recently, I might add 1 or 2 pictures just because they fit well. But usually it's one person, either me or one of our customers who are so nice to share this with us and the community. And yeah.
So, is there a minimum and a maximum? In other words, if I went to, I'm just going to use myself as an example. Poor example, because I ain't got the time to do it. But anyway, so if I went and shot a bunch of like 100 pictures of downtown Manhattan, and what would I cull them down to? I'm not going to send you 100. I cull them down to 15 or 10 or whatever tells the story, or what's the maximum and the minimum?
So I think 50 would be enough to send to me. And usually what I do with, of course, the permission of the people sending it to me is that I say, I may remove some of the images sometimes. So the interesting thing about 3D is that everyone perceives it a little bit different. So there are some images where I look at it in 3D and it's like, it's too close, I cannot sharpen on it. And the other person seeing it tells me, oh, that's no problem. I have perfect vision. I see everything. So if I notice any of these images where I say, that's bad quality, most people might not like it, then I remove it with the permission, of course, of the original person. And so far, everyone was okay with it.
So then now further that. So I shot a bunch of images and so did somebody else a year before. And they put that. Do you put them all in one? Would you put them all in one gallery, or it would be my gallery or the New York gallery, or have you figured that out yet?
So far, it would be in separate galleries. We had so much different content coming from so many various places that we didn't have too much overlap so far. in theory, if it makes perfect sense to combine them, I would probably ask the two people if they are okay if we just combine it. But so far, it's been more really like one gallery, one person for pretty much everything. There might be exceptions, but I don't remember it now.
No, it's cool. You know,
Yeah.
that could be fun. That is anybody from the NSA, right? You know, when they're doing an article, that would almost be cool if the images from the article could be sent to into the gallery, so you could actually see them rather than in the magazine. Same thing with stereoscopy, right? If they made a gallery, you're nodding. I'm just talking to them, but I appreciate you not because you're agreeing. You see what I mean? He's agreeing.
I agree. It makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, no, and because then you'd have the magazine, and then you'd have that where you could say, I'm just saying, fellas. But it makes great sense, especially at the $200 point for the VR stuff, and it's a minimal amount for the subscription. And like I say all the time, you got to support these guys. This guy's he's into it. You can plug your ears right now, there, Daniel. This guy's into it up to his lungs. He's got a lot of money invested in this whole. So whatever support you can give him, you can start listening again now, Daniel. Anyway. I think it's a great resource, and it's a wonderful opportunity right now for people to share images. I'm going to try to figure out a way for us to do it. Although at this point, you understand the analogy between juggling bowling balls, because you're juggling bowling balls. If there ever was a guy that was juggling bowling balls, so we got about 8 in the air at this point. So it's hard for us to, I got to find a way to make this work. Now, really, I love what you're doing, and I love to support it. I think everyone out there must agree to that. You're a good guy anyway.
So one thing you can already do today is, as you said, like if you have certain images for your magazine, you just all zip them up and put them on your own web space. And in this magazine article in the bottom, you write, okay, here's the zip file of where all images in original quality are. And then in Image Gallery, this URL you can directly put in, and it will download it, extract it, and view it. So it's super easy.
Man, that is so cool. You are a great mischief maker. I'm putting you on the list because you are making mischief.
Yeah.
I hope everyone realizes the potential of this, because it's pretty deep, man.
Let me actually jump to the slide with the downloading of galleries, as we just talked about it. So here we are. So this is
you have to redo your screen sharing. Sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Jay, for doing that. Thank you. Because thank you.
So let's see. Okay. This is directly from Image Gallery, the download area. And so in the first part, we have this prefix, and usually it's HTTPS, but you can change this prefix, and I've unrolled here the menu for it. There's, for example, short URL AT. Not sure if everyone knows it, but basically it's an URL shortener. So if you have this long URL, and typing in VR is no fun, you go to short URL IT, you copy and paste on your PC the long URL in, and you get like 5 or 6 character code back, like down here, ABC32. So then only you change the drop-down menu to short URL, and here you type in these 5 characters. That makes it super easy for downloading.
Now, if you're watching this now and it's confusing to you, you could in the chat. There's a whole his whole presentation is laid out. I just want to make that known. So just in case I don't have to take notes and go nuts, this is all in that presentation, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, thank you. But continue, please.
Yeah, and to make it even shorter, one thing I'm starting right now is this ImmerVR prefix. Where currently this only works for galleries that I am re-hosting. So, but if people send me a gallery and let's say the content is clearly something we can publish without any issues, then I can just mirror that gallery and I can give it an ImmerVR prefix. So, for example, we recently got pictures from Singapore shot with the Apple iPhone 15 Pro spatial photos. And so we made an ImmerVR : spatial Singapore. So only thing people need to type in here was spatial Singapore. Or we had some other tech event. I don't remember the abbreviation now, but then it was like ABC 2024. And so that's another way how we can easily share galleries. And the other thing I briefly mentioned is to make feeds, because sometimes if you say, I want to maintain 10 galleries or 100 galleries. Like every gallery I want to maintain and give it to my friends easily with one single link. I don't want to send them 100 zip files. What you can then do is you can use Pastebin, free service on the web, where you can basically paste text information. You should do an account for it also, so you can edit the text information. And you put in a gallery name. If it's more than one word, you can put it in quotes. Otherwise, it will just take the last word. You put your URLs in it. And then you have a link to your Pastebin site. It's also just a few characters, 8 or 9 here. And if you press the go button, we parse the data for you. And we give you direct buttons here to download it. So we parsed Gallery Regensburg from this text here. And so you just click it, it will download, and that's it. And if you decide at some point I don't want to share a gallery anymore, you just edit your Pastebin file, you remove it. And from that point on, it's not shown anymore. So it's like your own self-maintained feed where you can decide what stuff you want to share with other people.
And it's all right there. So people can look at that video if they would have. Listen, if I didn't have a quest already, I had another quest gathering dust on my cabinet over here. But I do have the quest 2. I would absolutely jump in. I would advise you to jump in right now for that price. And this app is inexpensive. It's like a $14. That's like a slice of pizza and a Coke in New York at this point. It's nothing. And it really opens you up to stuff. I was playing with it the other night. I couldn't wait to get back in because I understand the concept and grasp that. This is a great way to share images with a viewer that, and then I'll credit Jim Harp with this. The price of the gadget is like a great viewer for 3D. I mean, it's like for $200, you got yourself a nice. So there's no downside. It's a great opportunity to explore this and also support someone who's really supporting the whole community. You know what we're gonna do? Unshare that. You can drop that now. We're gonna go into the after party.
Daniel, Jim here. I have the app. I have it on my Quest 3 and absolutely love it. I highly recommend it to everyone. And a couple questions. Do you know anything about how easy it is to turn off the boundary stuff with the Quest? Because that's the one kind of drawback. If you take it, you want to hand it around. It's kind of a nuisance that it's constantly asking you, "Oh, have you set up a boundary? Or you're out of your boundary? Or blue lines in the middle of your image." And that even a suggestion, if there was a way to defeat that and have a special version of the Quest 2 that didn't do that, it'd be kind of nice for what you're doing.
Yeah, there is a way. Yeah, thank you very much for the question and for being a gallery user. I know exactly the problem, and I feel the same. This Guardian or boundary system, as it's named now, is interfering too often. And there is a way to fully disable it. You have to change your account, your Meta account, to a developer account. Can be done for free. I think you need to do it over the either website or over your smartphone companion app. I'm not sure. And once you are developer, and that definitely in the companion smartphone app, you have to click for your quest, or if you have multiple quests, you have to click it for all that they should run in developer mode. As soon as you have that, in the quest settings, there will be a new little thing, developer options, and there you have a toggle for boundary. And if you make that off, then everything is nice. You can, use it how you want to. Of course, not running into walls is dangerous. But theoretically, you can also use the pass-through mode for the people not knowing what it is. With the cameras in front, you can enable these as the background of the app. So if you have, for 180 degrees, it does not work well because your view is blocked. But for these regular 3D photos, which are basically on a cinema wall, you can change that everything outside of the cinema wall is a live video stream. So theoretically, you can put this in your living room. You can still see your couch, but you have a fixed cinema wall. Like you move your head, but the cinema wall will stay. And through the video pass-through, you will see a real environment. So sometimes it's helpful if you like have a cat or something.
Is that pass-through is part of the app currently?
Sorry?
That
yes.
reality pass-through is an
pass-through, yep. Under settings, in the advanced tabs, there's a camera pass-through, so you just check it on. And that's it.
Any interest in supporting immersive video? I know you've kind of deliberately gone for still images, but do you see that as or 3D video in general? Do you see that as a possible next step, or is that not even?
Yeah, it's been frequently asked for, probably the #1 requested feature, I would say. I've put a little bit on hold. The last very big feature I put in was multiplayer. I didn't mention this before, so might be interesting for the audience as well. You can simultaneously watch your same pictures in VR, like remotely. So in theory, we could even do this session with probably a limited number of people, where we show the 3D pictures at the same time, and one admin decides when to move to the next 3D image and so on.
Everyone has to have the same images loaded on their headsets, right? For that.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So ideally, with the download section I mentioned earlier, if you share with other people the link to a zip file with your images, then everyone clicks it, and then everyone has the same images, and then you can present them at the same time synchronously. But yeah, coming back to your question, yeah, video is something I am seriously considering. It's not 100% decided yet, but I want to investigate it. Let's say it like this. It will be a big working amount, because there's same with photos. There's so many different image formats, but there's also so many video formats, video codecs, different sound codecs, synchronizations and frame rates, and So it's definitely a big step. But at least I want to have a look at it, and then hopefully know better if it would suit or not. Thanks.
Anyone else have questions? I could talk all day, but I don't want to hog the floor. I am curious, do you have a Vision Pro app in development, or do you see that as another platform that might work for what you're doing, the Apple Vision Pro?
Right now, not in development. Sadly, here in Europe, it's not available.
You don't have it, do you? You don't have it in Germany.
I don't have it. I tried it from, there was a VR gathering last month, so I tried it 10 or 15 minutes. It is something to consider, but right now, if I just look at the numbers, and there's no perfect sales numbers of Quest 2 or Quest 3, but I think last year Quest 2 was somewhere at 20 million sales. By now, I would guess Quest 2 and Quest 3, maybe 30 millions. I mean, it's a very rough guess. But for the Apple Vision Pro, we also know, I think the first batch was 200,000 models. And yeah, as mentioned before, my app has currently the price of $14.99. So I first need to sell a lot of apps to just get in the device price, and there's not such a huge audience. So in general, I think it's something to look at. The control schemes would be very different. Not having controllers makes it much harder to port compared to another system which would have controllers. But also, yeah, maybe I'll reveal it. The next update of Image Gallery coming in 1 or 2 weeks will actually have voice control. So roughly 95% of the features, there's a few which don't make much sense over voice, but almost everything you can do with voice. So you can set all your controllers aside, just sits there, and you can say, select 3, and it will open the third image, for example. You can say next, previous, or folder up, or show settings, enable pass-through, and. And that would probably also work very well on Apple Vision Pro, because voice control or microphone reading is generally supported. So maybe that might be a scheme for it. But right now it's not planned, but I keep my mind open, and I'm mostly also excited to see what the second Apple headset, if there will be one, will be looking like. I think this is one where it becomes really interesting.
What about the the Quest Store versus App Lab.
Mhm.
Do you anticipate being available on the Quest Store? Because it certainly would make it much more visible and
Yeah.
easy to share it with people.
Yep, that would be my goal.
Are they just being
Unfortunately,
difficult about it, or I know
yeah,
they're very picky with that process.
the kind of problem is that there's seems to be no written down path what is required to get there. So maybe also to this audience, if you know someone working at Meta and can help in bringing it in the full store, I would be very happy if it would be there, and it would definitely increase visibility by a huge factor. And yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I'm still basically waiting for that. Yeah, it's over 2 years now in App Lab. It's improved a lot. It has multiplayer. There's various features, but in the end, someone from Meta probably needs to say, yes, we want this in the full store. And I'm not even sure how much Meta knows, how many employees at Meta tried this app even. I don't know. So
Yeah, no, we have a question from the chat. Does the app support Quest 1, or is there an older Quest 1 compatible version that's available?
Yeah, so Quest 1 officially support is already ended by Meta, which for us as developers meant that there will be no newer SDKs. So basically it means we have to abandon it, or yeah, it's not worthwhile anymore. But yes, it is available. The old version, it's version, I think, 1.18, which marks it at somewhere maybe 10 months old. It does not have the rewards features that we mentioned earlier with the weekly new galleries. It does not have multiplayer, but you can watch your 3D photos with it very well, the panoramas photos and so on, and do voiceovers and everything. But so yeah, please try it out if you like, but in general, it's probably time to move.
If you're a Quest 1 owner, because I know there's a fair number of Quest 1s out there. And so it's great for people who already have one and maybe don't have the budget to buy another headset. It sounds like it's still going to be a very good way to look at stereoscopic and immersive images.
Yeah, I mean, it's still probably very valuable. So yes, I mean, go for it. But in the long term, I think people should probably upgrade to Quest 3.
How difficult is it to get the Quest 1 version? Will App Lab make that available to a Quest 1?
Yeah, that's no problem at all. You purchase it, and the last stable Quest 1 version will automatically be there. So that's super easy.
Quest 1 owners, go for it. It's right out there. That's good to know. Because yeah, there's a lot of us have older gear.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe because we've discussed like Quest 1, 2, and 3 now a little bit, if someone might be interested in my kind of observation, having had all of these three headsets, my advice would actually be, if you're someone who's really into 3D and who spent already thousands of dollars going to conventions and cameras and custom rigs and all the things, I would actually recommend, if you start with VR today, to directly go to Quest 3, because the lens sharpness is so much better. In Quest 2, mostly, if you look directly perfectly through the lenses, it's super sharp. It's sharp. But everything a little bit outside gets already blurred, and this is hugely different in Quest 3. So for me, visually, Quest 3 at, I think, $500 roughly, made a huge bump. And besides that, it has also faster processing, so the images load a little bit faster. The display resolution is a little bit higher, which always helps. And of course, the support.
That increase in resolution is, even though it's not a huge increase in resolution, I think it's very significant. To my eyes, it looks like I'm watching a 4K TV through a Quest 3, which it doesn't through a Quest 2. I don't know if other people agree, but I think even though it's not a huge jump, I think it's a very important one. It really, they seem to have crossed over to where it's equivalent, what you perceive, to a very high quality television. So yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. Quest 3 is,
so in terms of number, I think it's a 30% pixel increase, but the sharpness of the lens, as I mentioned, that makes it so much sharper. And that's where this impression comes from. But nevertheless, if you are cautious and you say, I don't know if I will use it or if it will just collect dust, then yes, for $200 or Jay mentioned earlier, $100 at Costco, probably a sale out, then just go for it. It's just $100. I mean, yeah.
I mean, at that price, it's a gift. You can buy as a gift. You know, $100 plus the cost of your app. You've got a lovely gift for anyone who wants to look at stereo images.
Definitely.
So I have a couple of questions. So I've never tried one of these, but I wear glasses. So will this fit over my glasses, or do I not need glasses with it? What is the situation for somebody who wears glasses?
Yeah, so Quest 3 with my glasses, as I know the problem, these ones fit in Quest 3, but they do not fit in Quest 2. So that's, I guess, the first hint to look for with your glasses. I guess it's hard to really estimate
they are
the
sort of
size.
wide glasses.
Yeah. Probably best recommendation to try it at someone, if you have some friend or some in the 3D con coming up, probably to just try it. If you are farsighted, it's you can also use it without glasses. But it depends if you have an additional astigmatism, then not.
Right. I have mild astigmatism.
Okay. Yeah, me too, as I'm also farsighted, and that I often use my Quest 3 without glasses, even though they would fit under it, because sometimes they fog up. So if you have contact lenses or so, it's probably much easier. With the white glasses, I guess it really needs to be tried if it fits.
Yeah, I have progressives, but I also had a set made non-progressives, and because obviously for close and distance, and the ones for distance just work. I because of the progressive, obviously what happens is things go out of focus and focus. So that's what I do. I take a set of glasses that fit, and that's another issue. But without progressive.
Okay. And one more question. I hear that these are at Costco. Is that Costco.com or in the stores?
I put a link. It's actually Sam's Club for $100. I'll put the link in again. So it's a clearance sale.
Okay.
But in general, Amazon, $200.
Here's another tip about that. I know Sam's Club is a membership warehouse where you have to get a membership to go. But if you get a gift card to it, you can take the gift card in, get the Quest, and not need to go to the expense of joining the membership. That's kind of the workaround when you see these great bargains at these membership warehouses.
Okay. Thanks. Very good information. Very interesting presentation.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to ask about the fear settings.
Yeah, good point. So in the slides, maybe I'll share it again shortly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. So one of the problems also in virtual reality and with highly immersive 3D is that fear plays an important role, much more than on a 2D screen. So imagine you have a fear of spiders and someone takes a huge zoomed in 3D photorealistic picture of a spider, and you randomly serve images and you go to the next, and suddenly the spider comes up, and you probably would get a heart attack and use VR never again because it's too horrifying. So as I'm from a research background, I'm also cooperating with the University of Würzburg on research with my student. She's also working here, Amelie. And we actually looked at reducing the intensity of fear triggers in VR viewing. And there are many ways which you can see in the full talk on YouTube. But basically what it means is that we have options to remove certain fear triggers. Right now, it's more of a manual process. We have image generator coming out very soon that will be a visual tool for Windows and maybe Mac OS, I don't know yet, where you can create immersive galleries, like add sound to it, order the images, rename images, marks, set the voiceovers for the images, and so on. And one option also is for phobias. So here, for example, assuming there would have been a dog, we could just mark this area. And if later someone in the app tells us, hey, I have a fear of dogs, then we would automatically remove that. This part is actually not fully implemented right now, but another part is implemented. which I'll quickly show here. This is what is already in the app today. And it's an example of the carnophobia. So some people have a fear of meat for eating, or some people are just vegetarians and they don't like to see meat. And in this case, what you can do in the app today, you can go in the phobia section. You can say, yes, I have a carnophobia. I don't want to see this kind of images. And one of the previous rewards galleries was when I was in Osaka in 2019. And I actually like meat and sushi, and I was super excited. But of course, I realized not everyone wants to see the fish here and Kobe beef. So what will happen is, if you watch through this Osaka gallery and you have carnophobia on, then these pictures will not show. The thumbnail will also not show. So it's not like you're seeing a small version of it. Instead, there will be a replacement image, a general one saying, nope, you're sorry, your phobia settings told us you don't want to see this content, so we removed it for you. We're also not going into details what it was. We don't even want you to be thinking, was it a spider or meat or stuff? So we just basically skip over these images. And that works already today. For a few fears, we might extend that, of course, later. The other very important fear in virtual reality is actually acrophobia, the fear of heights. And according to statistics, 3 to 6% of population have a strong fear of acrophobia, while some people have a weak fear, which is probably like, ooh, that looks high, I'll better not move forward. And in VR, with this perfect depth perception, where you have this, where you really feel like you are in these places, acrophobia can very easily trigger. And what we're doing is, if you told us you have acrophobia, we will be adding an artificial floor under you, which gives you safety with a rail. And there's also different options if you want this always to be shown, or just in certain cases where we know this happens. So basically, we're trying to make this as comfortable as possible for people to watch random images without, stop
Daniel,
using
I'm going to cut in for a minute. What made you think of that? Who brought that up to have this feature?
A good friend of mine who's I'm regularly playing with him in VR mini golf. He has a fear of heights, and this was one of the first things he mentioned when he tested my app. Was like, oh no, I don't want to look down. And yeah, the idea of having a floor in general against acrophobia in VR is not new. This is probably a 30 years old paper now, but we are actually the first app for VR, like commercial apps, that really uses this feature and makes it available to people in the image content.
You know, that's a really important feature, man.
Thanks.
But don't let it not. Don't see. Now you have another good reason to buy it, because really, that's a significant feature, and I don't want it. I don't want that. The thought of that to make people not want to buy it. Buy into the whole VR thing. But it is a significant point. I'm impressed that you even thought of that. I thought that your answer was going to be it's standard operating procedure for all of the VR stuff. I thought that was going to be your answer, but
no, it's not. I mean, some games play on it with purpose because they want you to have fear. But that's of course very different from not wanting to have fear, wanting to have a relaxed experience, and then having a horrible experience. Yeah.
The comedian Stephen Wright is afraid of widths. He's a comedian.
Yeah.
The joke is everyone's afraid of heights. He's afraid of widths. It's a joke.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was doing this research, I was actually surprised. I was collecting a list of what kind of fears there are with their medical Latin term. And I think it was, in the end, I collected over 130 or 160 of them. Many I never heard before, or was thinking someone could have a fear of it, but yeah, it is there. Many can be categorized, like some have a fear of a certain color, so you can combine these into the same kind of fear of one color. Yeah.
Daniel, let's move on, because it's just going to freak people out.
Yeah.
Jim, go to the next thing, will you, please? Or Jay.
Well, you know, I mean, one thing I don't think we had a chance to cover, and I just want to say how very cool it is the environmental effects you've made available. And it's amazingly effective. If you have a rainy still image, and then you actually put 3-dimensional, you know, rain animation in front of it, or three-dimensional butterflies flying around a meadow. It's really quite funny. A lot of times you think you're watching a video. It's a very cool idea, and I hope you'll keep pursuing it. But I did want to mention that to everyone. You can really have fun putting slideshows together with those effects and with music and narration. It's well already designed to do that right out of the box.
Yeah, thanks. Exactly. Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah, like how can we improve the image experience to make it more dynamic, but not using full video? So what's kind of in between? And that is basically this VR slideshow where we enhance images with audio, with the special effects like the artificial rain, the snow effects. And as you mentioned, these are real 3D rendered effects. So they are really in real time calculated, coming down. We have these leaves flying around. And for certain occasions, we also have like reconstructed a little bit more cartoon style environments. Like for Christmas, we have a Santa Claus flying around. We have a St. Patrick's Day thing. We have something for Halloween and some Easter event. And I don't know, just more fun. So you can have more variety when you're telling your immersive story in this immersive gallery.
And am I correct that if for anyone else who has this app and has a headset, you can create a gallery of your images with all these effects, with sound, music, with Santa Claus flying around, zip that folder and then share it, and the person you share it with will get all that same stuff as long as they have the app and the headset?
Yep, exactly. And yeah, and it will get much easier when we, in the next 1 or 2 months, release this image generator, this visual tool for generating the galleries. Right now, it's a web tool that is available already. It's like on immervr.com, there's an immersive gallery generator, but it's a little bit more oriented towards experts, I would say. But then this visual tool, once we have it, it will be easy clicking, dragging and dropping and stuff. So I think that will make it really convenient for everyone to generate the content. And it will automatically zip it in the end for you also. So it will be as easy as possible.
It's a really nice tool. I made the gallery with it. Works great.
Yeah, and it's really also quite well implemented. It's not difficult, it's not incredibly difficult to put in some audio and attach things to slides. It really kind of harnesses the power of the VR headset, as a multimedia device. So very, very interesting to see.
Great. It's a great community to enjoy that, because that's being able to sit in that and go through a bunch of images. As it is, it's always been difficult, but the way you described it, I think that's just almost at that point where it becomes simple, which is really what it's been waiting for, because everything up to this point is just, you gotta go jump through too many hoops to make something work. But it looks like you got something going on here, and you're certainly I know you're gonna improve it. So I'm happy with what I saw already. I can't wait to get to it tonight. I'm gonna diddle around. And maybe we can work a gallery for the show weekly. I'm going to try to do that with you. I'm going to try to convince you when there weren't so many people around. Jägermeister when you come to New York. All right, that's how I can offer you that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Any more questions?
Yeah,
Jim
are
and Jake?
the slides available? Can you post a link to the slides?
So the YouTube link is available and probably already in the chat. I'm not sure if it's in the new chat after restarting.
Yeah, I lost the original chat. Thank you.
I'm sure they'll put. Yep. Thank you for doing that.
So Jay, thank you. Just put it the YouTube link. Yeah, so there are all the slides in it with lots of more details. It's 90 minutes, so I really went into much more detail there. Yeah.
And I also want to hop in and recommend for anyone who buys the app, if budget allows, I highly recommend the downloadable gallery you made of Dresden images. Just beautiful photography and a very interesting place. I think it's $9.95 US, but amazing set of VR 180 images and quite a lot of them too. Yeah. So really, really nice photography. It's kind of nice to have this as a way to also look at other people's cool photos right when you get it, not just your own.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that is this premium downloads that we have, where I went 3 or 4 times myself to East Germany on vacation and took all these photos, and then later sorted it out. And I really looked up the historic context, like this church was built in the year 1730, whatever. And you can purchase this as extra gallery for $10. And very soon, maybe probably in the next 2 weeks with the next update, I will have this for Egypt as well. So fantastic pictures from the beaches and various places in Cairo and Luxor and everything. And even there will be a few old scans of stereo cards from the Library of Congress. So you will be able to see Luxor, the Valley of the Kings with the old pharaoh graves and everything from basically from the year 1903. And you will get an impression, how did Egypt look at that time in 3D? And the quality is, I'm super amazed. Like, the scans are not perfect. Of course, they have some dust and some hair and everything, but I've tried the classical stereoscope myself with stereo cards in the past, and in VR it actually looks much better because I have this huge curved cinema wall where it almost fills my field of view. So we're even getting better at what the photographers 130 years ago were imagining when they took the pictures, that so much time later we can still enjoy them and enjoy them even better than ever anyone thought about it. So it's really cool.
Yeah,
How are
yeah,
we doing?
great
Go ahead, Jim.
photography too, some of those guys. But yeah, that's very exciting. Well, I'll watch for the new galleries then.
So just to get that clear before we finish up, if I make a gallery, like, say, just use this as an example. So like the images that we showed with the Paul Hutchence journey and the stuff we did that the Anaglyph jukebox. So if we made a gallery with those images, right? Side by side, of course, not Anaglyph, right? Side by side. Then in order to share that, we'd have to make that zip file available that people can then bring in, or is there a way to share it without having that extra step?
Right now it requires this extra step.
Fine, no problem.
Yeah. But I mean, there's drawbacks, but also advantages. It's your data, you're the owner. No one is secretly spying on your images like it is on other social media platforms. So, yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
In order to be able to do that. Although
Yeah.
I think the whole thing people want to share. And you know what you've also provided this weekend, and I do appreciate this very much. We haven't had a blowout like we just had. And I keep a backup computer just in case on a separate network. That's how we were able to come back. This is the first time we actually got it. You could test that until you're blue in the face, until you have a problem. So really it worked. So I want to thank you for that. You were a guinea pig. Don't let it bother you. But yeah, and it all worked, and here you are. You were so generous with your information, and Jay and Jim, do we have any more questions that need to be gone over? I don't want to call it quits.
Maybe the caption this result.
Oh yeah, man. Caption.
But yeah, no, we look forward to watching your app advance, Daniel. Thanks very much.
Oh my God, those are brilliant. What do we got?
Like, do we need to share it? I don't have it. So.
Oh, you don't have her? Oh wait, what that happened?
I have it.
Sure, take your time. Take your time. That was great all the way around, man. Thank you, Dan.
I'll share the screen.
Awesome.
I was going to take a poll to see when I should get rid of the laser blazer, but I don't know if I can handle the results of that yet. But I'll wait maybe till the last show to figure out, do I come back in September with the laser blazer? Start thinking now. You guys are too quick for me, man. You are such quick wit. I can't. You're thinking of things already about me. I maybe I shouldn't open the door on that one. Anyway. In the meantime, please go ahead. That's fine. Take your time. In the meantime, I could say this.
We can always announce the winner if we're unable to get the whole thing.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Wait a little bit.
Some great captions.
You're doing it. No problem. No problem. Anyway, in the meantime, I want to thank this week's guest, Daniel Pohl. And also, I didn't do this before. Thank our amazing crew for making everything possible and making it work when we come back. And the juggling of the bowling balls. Here we go. We're going to show this right now.
Okay. Looks like Mike poked me in the face one more time. Is the winner.
You guys are brilliant. One day we'll figure out what. I'm just going to do this for you. Because that quick wit. Like Freud had a whole thing about quick wit. That's pretty good, man. These guys are pretty good. I get a kick out of it every week. You know, well, I'm not on, but I'm laughing. I'm laughing. Let's put it that way. Again, I want to thank this week's guest, David Pohl, and of course, our amazing crew, Stereo Dora, aka Dorothy Goodman, Jim Harp, Jay Kuznets, Joe Pedoto, Paul Hutchence, and last but not least, you for stopping by to see what you've been missing in 3D. And of course, another show has come to an end. And I thank you all for doing that, for showing up, because it really makes a difference to us. We had a lot of people this week. You were a crowd pleaser, Daniel. Yeah, you done good. You done good. Until we threw them all out. That was like, listen, they'll get over it. They'll get over it. We did, what are you gonna do? This is the technology.
Yeah, let me also use quickly the chance to just thank you very much for inviting me. And there's a great question from the audience. It's really fantastic to talk with all of you. And I hope at some future event, maybe we can also meet together and have a drink together. In the meantime, yeah, if you're interested about Image Gallery, I'm super happy to always receive feedback over email or social media and so on. Maybe I can quickly, before we, if it's okay, quickly show
Please do.
URLs. One second. Now the window disappeared.
Take your time, no rush.
So yeah, if you would like to follow us, we have a newsletter directly, like email newsletter on imavr.com, but also the usual other social media stuff like Facebook, YouTube. On YouTube are also various trailers which explain all the features of Image Gallery, Twitter or X, LinkedIn, and so on. Or just email me directly if you have any feature wishes. I cannot implement everything, but I try to do the best, and I'm always excited to hear what people are missing and what new stuff I can put in. And if you should feel happy about Image Gallery, I would also be very happy if you could please leave a nice review on the Meta store. That would help a lot. Also probably getting attention from Meta to put it into the full store. So thank you very much. And yeah, have a great time.
Thanks again. And listen, even if you don't like it, give it 5 stars. You know what I mean? Support this guy because he's doing great work for all of us. Okay, so thanks again for stopping by to see what you've been missing in 3D. See you next week. And until then, don't be stingy with your camera and share your joy, count your blessings. Now we're going to roll the credits. See you guys next week. Oh, the stereo satellite guy. Great. See you later. In theory. Bye, folks. I got no toys this week.
Twice. New York, all the scandal and the vice. I love it, New York, now isn't it a pity?